Welcome to Face to Face. This is a show about change and about what's next. It's a show that wants to ask questions, peel back the layers of our average everyday experience, and go beyond scratching the surface. We interview amazing people with incredible ideas and stories who have done wild, weird, and wonderful things. Remember that imagination shared creates collaboration, and collaboration creates community, and community inspires social change. I'm David Peck, and this is Face to Face. So my next interview is with the director of Mimosas, a film that is it's a road movie. It's a road movie that takes place in a part of the world that you probably have never been to. Oliver Laxe is his name. We talk about mysticism. We talk about transforming our own lives through through others, really, and through the knowledge that we gain as we travel the road, I suppose, less traveled. We talk about religion, we talk about secrets and about mystery and about courage and about the notion of needing a master, and we talk about a lot of things. We talk about something that Oliver talked about called the contra-tradition, his words, and how art is a tool and not a god, and it's not an end. Oliver's a brilliant guy. It's a film that you're going to want to see. It's called Mimosas, and it's coming right up, a conversation with the director, Oliver Laxe. Don't forget rabble.ca and davidpecklive.com for more interviews, and certainly more interviews from the Toronto International Film Festival, and Oliver Laxe coming right up. Well, welcome to Face to Face. We're joined by a very special guest here today. Oliver Laxe is a filmmaker and here to highlight his film Mimosas. Thank you for your time today. Really appreciate it.
I appreciate you.
So the film is inspired by your travels, and I think or at least that's what I've read. That so in a sense, it strikes me as somewhat autobiographical. So it's about you and where you've been, maybe, and maybe where you're going. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
I think, when you make a movie, you want on a way to transform yourself. You want to put your life under a new perspective. So, you use cinema, you use art like a tool to be more adapted human beings, to understand better things, So that's the way I use cinema. And, last years I was doing a geographical travel. I wanted to know the mountains of Morocco, the south of Morocco. I was living in Tangier for 5 years, which is where I made my first feature film, You All Are Captains. And I was traveling geographically, but also in other dimensions, and in an intimal dimension. I was. I was very interested. I am very interested in tradition. And
that comes out in the film. Without a doubt.
I think there is a leg. One of my two legs are very based on tradition. That allows me to move the other more lightly.
How do you define tradition? Do you mean like
tradition
structure?
Tradition, no. Tradition is like the knowledge that comes from the same source that knowledge is traduced in the different religions or spiritual or initiatic paths, of all the latitudes. I'm very interested on that. I'm very interested to do religion, that that etymologically religion, the meaning is religare, that means to link. So my attitude is to link, to discover, to understand where it comes, all the knowledge, all the different cultures of the world. I'm an artist, so one of the first things that you understand is that culture is made of mixtures of identities and cultures. So I really like that too.
Your travels, were they just through Morocco, or did you get
No,
into many
yeah,
different
I
countries?
went to Iran, I went to Senegal, Mauritania, Turkey. I mean, I was the feel of work was Sufism, the essence of Islam, and so I went to. I explored different tarekas, brotherhoods, Sufi brotherhoods, and for me it was important to really experiment the movie, you know.
So artists make statements, right? You make statements as an
Yeah.
artist, but when you go on a journey like that, aren't you really asking a lot of questions? Not making statements, discovery mode.
Discovering?
Yeah, you're out. There's a. I mean, I've traveled a lot. Probably been in over 40 countries, and there's a mystery to it.
Yeah.
A sense of you're always asking questions.
Yeah, you're always asking questions, and we are on a moment where secrets open, and knowledge is open to everybody.
Nice.
But you have to open the doors. It's not for everybody. You really have to have the courage to want this knowledge. And at some point I understood that I needed a master. I needed, of course,
great.
I understood how the light, the cycle of the lights, the how do you say in English? I mean that modernity was a project. A mess,
A project that's failed.
That's failed
in many regards.
Yeah, I mean, we had it gave us different things, but of course we forget things, and we went too far in different things. And I belong to a generation of artists that doesn't have complex to recognize these fields and to try to retake the.
Would you say
to
that?
try,
Yeah. Would you say that you belong to a generation of artists that lack tradition, or a good sense of it?
Yeah, I mean, I think is something. Oh, it was always like that. Avant-garde is that. What the avant-garde artists made is to take tradition and to make the tradition present.
It's nice.
It's more with postmodernity where we cut the lineage with tradition. Or modernity, and with postmodernity we could come back and to cut the time and to be in the past, in the present, and the future at the same time, and to retake the lineage, if it's possible. I don't know.
So, would you consider yourself a postmodern?
No, but I mean, I'm son of my time,
Yes.
in a way, probably. I mean, yeah, there is, yeah, I mean, I could jump, I could travel in the time. That is postmodern.
I think the reason I ask you is I kind of saw elements of that in the film, in the structure of the film, in the way that you tell the story. It's not disconnected. It's very much kind of how
isomorphic structure.
Yeah, it's not your typical kind of unfolding of how film generally plays, right? And how story generally plays. It's kind of more how this is life, right?
Yeah, but it can be connected tradition with this postmodern feeling, because what traditions, when you explore different paths, you see that the first tool or practice that most of masters have is to invite the student, the disciple, to the stupefaction, to understand that there is nothing to understand.
Right.
And to invite the disciple to read life, to see life with other level of perception.
So to understand that there is nothing to understand, is that about living in the moment? Is that about the present?
Yeah, and it's very related with what I wanted. I wanted that people experiment the cold, the effort, the warmth the journey of the characters of the movie. You know, I wanted that they will be there. That we feel the mountain.
There's very little.
And also, I forget what I wanted to say.
Sorry.
Don't worry.
There's very little to me in the film that seems easy. You know, the mountains, the desert, up the struggle. You know, at one point somebody says this isn't a path for horses; it's a path for goats.
Yeah.
Never mind for men or women. You know, goats can make this trip, but we can't. And so there's a sense where, I don't know, life is a struggle. I mean, is that where you're at? Would you say?
Yeah, for me it was important to, you know, they are Muslims. So what Islam wants? What is the meaning of Islam? I mean, the etymology of Islam is to abandon yourself to the path. And it's what they
undone yourself.
Sorry?
Did you say undone?
Abandon.
Oh, okay.
Abandon.
Right.
You give yourself.
Right, to give yourself.
You. It's a kind of sweet submission. You know, you accept.
Nice.
You accept what the path gives to you, and the path is giving to these people this mission, and they do that. They don't ask themselves why we have to do that. That is good for us or not.
Right.
Not. The path gave them the missions to carry his body, and they do that. And that was important for me, relating with nature. I didn't want it that the characters had a modern confrontation with the nature. They are not looking for sense. They are not frustrated because they don't find a sense. No, there is no romanticism. You know, they just accept obstacles. You know, if you analyze most of traditions, we can resume that they propose slavery like a path of freedom.
Right. This is a path towards
obstacles,
freedom.
like you say at the beginning, obstacles are good.
Well, there's something I think profoundly almost.
And the good and the bad. I mean, and the most difficult way to take,
yes.
like the caravan take, or like me, like a filmmaker,
right.
because it was not easy to make.
Oh,
this
no
film.
kidding.
Is always the best choose.
That's the best choice. I can't remember the character's name.
The goat's path are always the best one.
The goat's path are the way to go. Are the good ones.
Yeah.
Is the goats that we have a bumper sticker there? I think the goat's path is the good path. How's that? I can't remember what character it was who said when somebody wanted to give up again, because there's a lot of characters who just say, "I'm done. I'm leaving." You know, once he dies, once the sheik dies, I'm done. We're leaving, and then the caravan kind of breaks up. But there's a couple of characters who are very passionately committed to this, and then at one point there's a conflict between them, and one of them says, "We've never done anything big in our lives. We need to commit to this.
Yeah.
We need to commit."
Yeah. We never did something important like that, and you know that, he said, you know. Yeah, and at the beginning they are like bandits. They just want to transcend their class. But, you know, it's the archetype of in Spanish we say pícaro, you know. It's a kind of, you know, survivant, can I say? Survivant? You want to survive, you know. And this archetype is, I really like, because they want to transcend their class condition, but they always come back to the first position, you know. They never transcend their condition. So, but slowly, they gonna, I mean, Ahmed, who is a skeptic, is a modern character.
Sure,
I mean, he has a kind of nihilism. I mean, we know skeptic people are people who have a big heart, but they just something closed their heart because they were expecting too much, and they were
something broke. There's a sense of brokenness.
Yeah,
right.
And it is on the glance and on the silence of Ahmed, of one of the main characters. But the mirrors of Shakib and his innocence and purity, the mirror of Said that is his friend, and he go with him to rob, but he has values and ethics, and he's a knife, light knife, and Ikram and his silence. These mirrors remembers Ahmed what is in his heart. No? And this is, I think, the dramatic arch of the movie. You know, this how Ahmed remember who is him, how Ahmed have again a positive conception of what is human being.
You're very intentional and let us know as viewers that the film is three chapters, and you're connecting it clearly to prayer, bowing, standing, and prostrate. Is for you, would you say life, being present, working with a mentor, a guide, a master, alongside? I mean, is life about, I don't know, those meditative moments, those paying attention, listening, the other? I mean, one of the questions throwing in another question now, but one of the questions I wanted to ask you earlier was, in your travels, what do you learn about others?
What?
Yeah, what do you learn about others? I mean, I think some of that comes out in the film for sure, but one of the things I marvel at when I travel, when I go to a different culture, is the connections. We're not all that different.
No,
You know what I mean?
The geometry of the heart,
The geometry of
and
what a
of the
beautiful
ego,
yes,
are the same.
Yeah.
Here
Yeah.
and in China.
yeah.
And I repeat, religion is to link. This is the meaning of religion. All is one. And yeah, I mean,
So why the division? Why so
because the
much
manifestation of the world is dialect. It's and because it's not balanced, the exoterism, the manifestation, is not balanced with the world of the spiritual essence, the subtle world. I mean, today we assist on a moment when religions, we know they are in crisis because they are very materialistic. So they are not religion. They only are in the exoterism.
They're consumable.
They are in the exoterism. There is no esoterism. And at the same time, we see a kind of resacralization of the world, a re-enchantment. Can I say in English, re-enchantment?
Yeah, I think so.
Re-enchantment of the
I had a
world.
professor who said, make up words whenever you want to. Re-enchantment?
Re-enchantment.
Yeah.
But all this new form of new neo-spiritism, they are only esoteric. They don't have religion. They don't have the exoteric. So both are not balanced, I think. There is not this balance.
So you would never describe yourself as and I certainly didn't get this from the film, but as I'm talking to you, as a dualist, would you?
No, I mean, of course, because I'm a human being, and I'm paradoxically, I'm full of light and shadows, and
of course.
And my ego tried to divide, but we have to transcend. We have to transcend the duality. I think is what I made with this movie, because I'm not from this culture, but I went to the heart of this culture because I did this. I cut dialectic dualism. This is the challenge.
Shakib's character, he's not a dualist, is he?
Shakib?
Yeah, he doesn't strike me as a dualist.
No, it's sometimes.
He's quite the character.
Sometimes he's in the total acceptation. He's in the total detachment. Everything is good.
Everything is good.
Everything is good, even obstacles. One anecdote that I think you will be curious to know is that the second and third day of the shooting we could not shoot anything because the tracks couldn't pass on a bridge.
Okay.
The local production didn't measure it well, this bridge. So, we had only 5 weeks for shooting.
So the bridge was too small.
It was too small. So at the we were starting the movie with the knowing that it was impossible to make it. And in the set,
how postmodern.
In the set, all the people was thinking, that it was absolutely mess, a disaster. And so at some point I was thinking that, like the life is giving me, the providence is giving me the biggest slap of my life, But accepting that this lap was good for me, that with this obstacle or this disaster, it's gonna make me grow.
Right. Yeah.
That allows me to accept that and to just to continuous, to do not stop the shooting. That was what producers were.
Well, the story mirrors the reality of what was going on.
Exactly.
You became the goats.
Yeah, I didn't knew and I became Ahmed because I didn't knew the path. I didn't knew he say he knows the way to Sicil Massa, but
which is so wonderful. We know how to get you there. He doesn't. No. So we're going to have to wrap up in a couple of minutes, I think. But tell me, Oliver, what do you know now that you didn't before this journey, or did you just reaffirm?
The ego is very subtle. He hides itself very intelligently. It's very difficult to
hides itself well.
Yeah. So what I have learned that art is just a tool to be a more free man, but it's not a god. It's not an end, and it's a tool that helps you to see. Is a kind of cane that helps you to walk because we are blind, But what I learned is that at some point I have to throw off this cane. At some point I will have to stop making movies and just being.
And just be.
Because it's a duality cinema.
Yes.
You have to be on a warrior position a lot, and I don't like that. I'm a warrior, but I just want to be.
Speaking of warrior, I love at the end is it Shakib who pulls the sword out and says, "We're going to do it with love."
Yeah.
And then charges down into the scene.
But cinema is not always love,
No. One last question. I think I read somewhere that you would much prefer people to see this as a film about faith, or than about religion.
I never say that, and it's the opposite. I'm not complexed with the word religion.
You're not.
It's a religious movie, and it's a film about faith, both. This is very fragile because today we see how the I don't know how to say that, the contra-tradition. I mean, there is a contra. There is a kind of a spiritual movement who takes tradition and make a kind of stylization of tradition, and with the appearance of tradition, but it's not, and it's bad for tradition. It's bad for the balance. It's like in cinema, how the kids takes the shape of the avant-garde.
Right.
And the independent cinema, that is sold like cinema with soul.
Yes.
But it doesn't have. It's kitsch.
A simulation.
It's kitsch. Yes. It's still kitsch. But the packaging is like, this is art, but it's not. So it's more pervert that a Hollywood movie, because it's more subtly alive.
Can I tell you what one of my favorite moments in the film was? And
Please.
I had lots. Was when the character sort of emerged out of the river and said, "Peace be upon you."
Oh.
It sent shivers up my spine. And I think they actually, was it Ahmed who pushed back on him? He said, "It's none of your business, my heart."
Okay, it's not of my business. Okay.
And he did.
The name is the mysterious man.
Came and he went.
He's a kind of mysterious man.
Yeah. I wonder if he's the master or one of them.
You think?
That was a sense that I had. And the other master for me.
It's a beautiful interpretation.
It's a wonderful moment. It really is, and I really was drawn.
There's a tension.
There is absolutely a tension.
Vibration.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm all about the idea of master and apprentice. I've studied. I don't want to get into it now, but the thought of Michael Polanyi, who was a chemist who became a philosopher later in life, and he talks about how science is done in the laboratory, and the way we talk about it is not how it's done, and it's all about what you pass on. Elbow knowledge. And so if I came under your tutelage, what would I learn from you without that you wouldn't even write down? you know. And so that whole idea of master apprentice,
Yeah, it's one of the laws of the universe.
Nice.
Unfortunately, today we have universities.
That's great. That's the soundbite from the interview. Unfortunately, today we have universities. It's good. It's good.
It's not
true.
enough.
It's not enough.
But
it's not enough.
I mean, it's just exterior knowledge, but we need interior one. We don't know how to see it. We don't know to breathe. We don't know to. We are on forest and we don't know the name of the trees. We don't see them. We are not there.
I asked Raoul Peck the other day after interviewing him, I said, so when are you going to give up filmmaking and start teaching philosophy? And I wonder if you should do the same.
I don't know. I don't know where is the border between cinema and philosophy and spirituality.
Pretty close. Pretty close.
Yeah, they are the same, I think. It's too... But something that I learned with Mimosas is, I confirm that there is nothing to understand. That life, world is a miracle, is the manifestation is beauty, and this is the only sense I need. Wow. I only need that. And
fantastic.
And there's a fire where I can warm my hands, you know. And it never ends. So, so I'm super. I'm okay. I don't need nothing.
I'm okay. I understand that there's nothing to understand is a great way to end. We're talking with Oliver Laxe and his film Mimosas. Is it the North American premiere of the film?
Yeah.
North American.
It's gonna be released in Canada.
Oh, fantastic!
And United
good
States.
for you, and congratulations. I didn't say it. It's a beautiful, marvelous film,
Thank you.
and a wonderful parable, I think, for the old and the young. So thanks for your time today, Oliver. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.